Spring Roll Fever. So today I got two guests with me. I got my Khmer bestie right here. Follow him at
Dose of D. Lee.
And my half Khmer friend, Khmer Persuasion. Follow her here. And you have what?
Half butter pecan, half Cambodian, half black.
Butter pecan.
Okay, wait, that's more than half. That's 1/3.
Okay. We are in Raleigh, like Holly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Raleigh.
Like
Yes.
Bruce Lee, but Raleigh.
Yeah. You get it?
Bruce Lee, Raleigh.
It rhymes.
North Carolina.
North Kakalaki in the house.
Today, we're gonna be talking about cheap people. So if you cheap, this is about you.
Sure is.
Okay? So I'm gonna tell you guys my pet peeve. Y'all already know this. Why are people cheap? Okay, like every time I go out to dinner, why are you ordering an appetizer and asking about my food?
Right?
Can I have some of your food? I'm still hungry.
No, why? So like why do you think people are cheap?
That's a good question. I think people are cheap because they're like very afraid to spend their money, and we have spoiled our friends in the past by always taking care of the tab. And it's crazy because all our friends have salary jobs, so I don't understand why you're broke.
That's true, but the friends that don't have salary jobs always be eating the most expensive things and still paying their bills.
Well, also, you know, when you go out with a group of friends, oftentimes you just split the check.
Correct.
So
That's true.
I figure,
like we did earlier.
So, you know, if you order something small, they can order something big. Knowing that part of the check is going to be paid for. That's being cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tip number 1, don't have broke friends around your circle.
Tip number 2, pay your own bill. Don't split the check.
Hello. And tip number 3, if you don't have more than $25 in your bank account, just stay home when we're going out to eat.
And last tip, if you can't tip properly,
that's a good
at
one.
least 20%,
Yes.
don't go out to eat. Go through a drive-through.
Exactly.
But I like drive-thrus.
Me too, though.
I'm not cheap though. I'm cheap when it comes to like certain things, but I will pay for the things I want, like seafood.
But you have cheap friends.
Well, speaking of drive-thrus, you can also be cheap in that you ask for extra condiments. You know, people go to Starbucks and walk out with a handful of Splenda. I'm not guilty, but I'm just saying. You know, you might go to Taco Bell and they ask you what kind of sauce you want, and you're like, I'll take 5 fire,
Oh my God.
10 mild.
Horrible.
That's true.
You know,
So my question is, do you call your cheap friends out?
absolutely.
You do?
I do.
Are you still friends with them?
I don't care. 'Cause they're
Actually,
cheap.
one of my friends actually told me to do this video about cheap people because she used to be a cheap people.
Still is.
How do you used to be? How are you used to be a cheap person?
Yeah.
Explain.
Well, they, oh God, you gonna put me on the spot?
She's trying to lie. Give her a second, people.
Yes, she's got to think of something.
Okay, so let's see. I would say every trip we've been on, something bad always happens. So then we'll be out eating, like all of us eating like something good, like
Steak,
chicken and waffles, blooming onion, and here you go, friend,
tacos.
with shrimp tacos while we all eating like $30 meals. Now, it's okay to have, you know, issues or whatever, but my thing is, if we're already planning a trip, why haven't you saved nothing? You like,
True.
you know what I mean?
Good
Like,
point.
why don't you have your money together when you knew about this trip like a year ago, you know?
Because they spent all their money prior to the trip thinking that their non-cheap friends were going to take care of them because they're on the trip.
Yeah, and you don't have good budgeting skills. Like if we tell you 4 months ago we're going to, let's say, Hotlanta, and we tell you 4 months ago we're going to stay here, budget here, and you still come with no money, is that my problem or your problem that you have poor judgment with your funds?
But why you have to make me feel bad? Because you have a cheap problem.
Because you care enough to feel bad. We don't care enough to feel bad. I'm gonna eat regardless, as you can tell by the belly. I'm gonna eat regardless.
I always feel bad because I'm like, well, then you gotta eat at the end of the day. So am I you know, a good person at the end of the day for that.
Do you feel bad, or do you offer them to say, hey, can I pay for your food today? Because I know you kind of have no funds.
Sometimes.
And month after
But
month.
you know, do you think people get offended by that? If you're saying, I'm offering to pay for you because you can't afford it, maybe they really can afford it.
Yeah.
True.
Maybe they can afford it, but they just don't want to spend the money. And then if you call them out and say, can I buy your meal today? Maybe they're like, what do you think, I'm broke?
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
You
I hope you're
know,
watching
some people
this.
could get offended by that.
Well, damn. Well, this group of people that I know, they will always take their chance, any chance they get. And don't think we're talking about certain names, so don't be like, who's she talking about? Who
We
are
are.
they talking-
We are. We're talking about you. You, who's watching this on Instagram right now, or YouTube. You, we're talking about
Oh my
you.
God. Okay.
You know who you are. You know who you are. Just if you're cheap, be cheap and proud. Be cheap and let people know you're cheap. Don't be cheap on the slip. You know, don't be sly about
Yeah.
it. Don't
Yeah.
try to like, you know, say, oh yeah, let's go to Outback, and then you order the onion, you know, the bloomin' onion. You're like, I'll order for the table. But then when the bill comes, you tell the waiter, I'll take the bloomin' onion, and they'll take the rest. But yet you had a 16-ounce ribeye. But so if you're cheap, it's okay.
I love
It's
her.
okay.
That's right.
But just be straight up about it. Just be straight up about it. There's nothing wrong with being cheap. You just need to have cheap friends.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Nothing wrong with being cheap. Just have cheap friends.
So the moral of the story, just like Mom said, is that there's nothing wrong with being cheap as long as you have cheap friends, okay? All right.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
We're
Bye.
out. Bye.
Bye.
จนต้องมองออนแต่จ้องมองบายบาย